Hey everybody, welcome back around to the Blog and Grill. I'm your host Doug here with your video blog for July 17th, 2013. I have a packed full blog for you. I'm going to give you your American League first half award winners as well as your MLB Power Rankings. But I'm going to start off with an NFL two-a-day and I'm going to end with an NFL two-a-day as we're doing two-a-days here on Doug's Sports Blog and Grill as we get ready for NFL season. Kicks off in about 7 weeks. Training camp, though, starts next week. So let's get right to it here. Our first team we're going to look at are the Buffalo Bills, who last season finished 6-10. A team that really struggled to throw the ball. They were 25th in passing yards per game, and they could not stop the run. They were 31st in rushing yards allowed per game as well. When you go back and you look at their draft, they didn't really. I'm going to give them a B on their draft grade. They didn't really bring in any big defensive players to stop the run. They did get some good offensive players for sure. Young talent, E.J. Manuel and Robert Woods and Marquise Goodwin, two good wide receivers. So we'll see what they do with those additions. And also another key addition they made in the offseason. They made 2 or 3 big ones, really. Quarterback Kevin Cobb, they brought him in. They brought in running back Tashard Choice, and they bring in a linebacker, Manny Lawson, who's known as kind of a run-stopping linebacker, so that'll be something to watch as well. Really, the only key departure we saw was the linebacker, Nick Barnett. They let him go, but then they really replaced him with Manny Lawson, so that'll be interesting to see what this team will do. And really, the big question with this Buffalo Bill football team is right now, who will be the starting quarterback? They got the new coach and Doug Marrone. And it'll be interesting to see what Marrone does if he wants to bring in E.J. Manuel week 1 and try and win some games for him right off the bat. If he'll start with Kevin Cobb, the veteran. I think right now drafting E.J. Manuel in the first round is was kind of a surprise. And for that reason, I think Kevin Cobb will be the starter for this football team at the beginning of the year. But, I mean, if they lose a couple games early on, don't be surprised if E.J. Manuel gets right in there. Overall, though, I think the record will improve by a game. I got the Bills finishing this year at 7-9. All right, now on to my MLB. I'll be coming back later on in the show with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as my second two-a-day on this Wednesday afternoon. All right, time for my MLB Power Rankings. Coming in at number 5, the big mover of the week are the Tampa Bay Rays. They finished off at 3-1, and they're in the 5 slot. Number 4, I have the Oakland A's dropping a spot. They finished off before the All-Star break at 2-2. Red Sox are my loser of the week, dropping 2 spots as they were 2-2. And the 2 top teams are still in the National League Central. I got the Cardinals at 3-2, or Cardinals in number 2. And I got the Pirates over the Cardinals. I think the Pirates are the better team. They're the hotter team right now, but they still trail the Cardinals by 1 game in the Central. And my team to watch has to be the Braves. The Braves are the best team in the National League East, sitting atop that division and sitting in the 6th spot in my MLB Power Rankings. So that will be something to watch come second half of the year. Before we get to the second half of the MLB season, let's first go back and look at our first half award winners in the American League. My MVP has to be Miguel Cabrera. He's putting up better numbers than last year than he had in his Triple Crown year. He's batting .365, 30 home runs, and 95 RBIs, just having a monster year. He's going to be my MVP. The Cy Young in the first half has to be Max Scherzer, 13-1, 3.19 ERA, 152 strikeouts, and an under 1 whip at .98. So he will be my Cy Young Award winner for the first half. Rookie of the Year, not many rookies in the American League making a big impact. I'm going to go Jose Iglesias, batting .367, a home run, 16 RBIs, and a .417 on-base percentage. He's just hitting the ball for the Red Sox very well right now. So I'm going to give Iglesias the nod as the Rookie of the Year. And my comeback player of the year is Mariano Rivera, of course, coming back from the big-time knee injury. Many people didn't think he'd be great this year. He's 30 out of 32 on save opportunities, a 1.83 ERA, 32 strikeouts, and a 1.25 whip. So just a great performance by Mariano. So my award winners, Cabrera MVP, Scherzer Cy Young, Iglesias Rookie of the Year, and Mariano Rivera Comeback Player of the Year. All right, before we get out of here, time to go back to NFL two-a-days. We'll do our second two-a-day right now, and that is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year finished at 7-9. They had a solid defense, the best in the NFL at stopping the run. Too many turnovers, though, for Josh Freeman. He had 17 interceptions from the quarterback position. And they were last in passing yards allowed, so that really spelled some trouble for them going in to the draft. The draft, of course, I'm going to give them a B+ on the draft. They got a good backup quarterback, probably one of the most underrated quarterbacks in Mike Glennon. Nice defensive line additions for sure, but they didn't really secure big secondary additions to go behind the big guys that they signed as free agents. And of course, the big key additions have to be Revis, signing him to the big 6-year deal, and bringing in Revis and Goldson, an underrated, undersized safety, but I think he can get it done for this team. And really, they only really had 2 key departures: the retirement of former Giant wide receiver Steve Smith, and they waived offensive tackle Nick Speller, who had a big impact last year in their running game, getting Doug Martin going. So really the big question I think for this team has to be, how will Revis and Goldson play together in the secondary? They both played the same position at their former teams. They're going to try and get one guy to play more of a strong safety, one guy play more of a safety or a cornerback position. So that's going to be interesting to see what they do with these guys, and I think these guys could be a great tandem in a secondary for this team. Just like the Bills, I have this team increasing by 1 game. I think the Tampa Bay Bucs will finish at 8-8 this year in probably one of the toughest divisions in the National Football League in the AFC South, or NFC South. And the interesting is the NFC South and the AFC East are the 2 divisions matched up from opposite sides, so that'll be something to watch for sure. All right, that's all I got for you today. Tune back in Friday. I'm going to give your National League mid-season awards. 2-a-days continue as we'll break down the Dolphins and the Saints. Also have a weekend preview. Remember, follow me on Twitter at YankeeBaller415. Check me out on jbsmooth84.com. Got a new article up about Johnny Manziel and his fall from glory. Also, I was on the podcast last night. We talked a lot about Major League Baseball All-Star Game with James Bridges and Iceberg. Just a lot of fun on there, talking about buying some countries. We talked some Summer League basketball. Hoping to get James Bridges on the blog here at some point. I want to get him on a regular spot every other Friday afternoon for weekend preview in these, so I think that'd be a lot of fun. So hopefully I can get James to commit to that for me. Always remember, though, comment, question, subscribe to my page. Thanks for tuning in to the Blog and Grill. I'll be back on Friday. Have a good rest of your week, and we'll get you ready for the weekend in a couple days. See ya.